ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It's time once again. It's time for that podcast heard, well, around a few places, by tens of listeners. It's time for the Department of Understanding Humans, the podcast. That's right, the podcast, featuring your ringmasters for the day, that stupendous giggle-snorting gal, Friday herself, Rachel Wynn, and now her co-host actually has a name, that cranky clown you love to adore, Chris Meyer. And on with the show!
D.U.H, Department of Understanding Humans, yeah!
A good evening.
I love that there's this like little da-dunk and then just this long pause. A good evening.
And then there's me.
And then there's you.
Good evening.
A good evening. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good
Afternoon.
day.
Good day. And welcome to Saturday.
Saturday. How are ya?
It's Saturday. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
We prepare for the DragonCon, but also we prepare for him. We prepare for him.
Him?
And what do you mean by him?
Him?
Well, him rhymes with Zim. That's right, Animaniacs fans.
Oh!
Zim returns.
Feel my power.
Our Vader, our evil overlord, our conqueror, the little green one, my favorite from Nicktoons.
Ogre.
I'm gonna sing the Doom song. Doom, 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 grr!
Doomy doom, doomy doom.
I absolutely loved that show, and I'm so glad that Netflix is bringing it back.
I am so excited because we started watching that recently. And and of course, it kind of started back, I think, almost a year ago. You posted that little blip of, "Girl, would you like the tacos?" I like the tacos.
I like the tacos.
Little bitty things of yum. I can't remember what the actual line is, but still. And so I had ever watched it once upon a time. And so when I saw that clip that you had posted on your wall, I was like, I need to get back into that. And it just so happened that the Hubs was watching it, and so we sat down and started watching it again. And I love that show. It is so retarded and wonderful.
It's wonderfully well written too. And it translates for kids, and there's a lot of adult humor to it.
There is a lot of adult
kid humor to it too.
Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot.
And it's just, yes, my tall ones, I have conquered this earth.
Earth.
And they're like, we didn't mean for you to. You were actually conquering them? What the hell?
They wanted him to go fail.
Yeah, they wanted him to go fail, and he's actually succeeding. You know.
And then the Earth kid, that's like
Dib and Zim. What simple names? The girl, his sister, is Gaz. G-A-Z.
Yes.
D-I-B-Z-I-M. I mean...
And Gurr.
Gurr. G-I-R.
Gurr. I love Gurr. I love Gurr. Gurr is so happy. He just wants to watch TV and eat stuff. He's Gurr.
Why is your brain taken out? Because I had to make room for the ice cream.
Gurr. Can I keep him?
Good, bring me the pig!
I like the pig! Not the pig!
Floating balloon pig they use.
I have just realized that while you may be Pinky and I'm Pinky, you're the brain, you are Zim, and I am Gurr.
Yeah, that is correct. That I see that dynamic.
Yep. Yes! What we doing tonight, brain? Zot.
Only 342 more payments to go, Pinky.
And then what?
And then we take over the world. But first, the Steinberg bat mitzvah.
Well done.
Thank you.
So we're going to start taking over the world. We're going to start attempting to take over the world on August 31st at 11 a.m. at Galleria 6 at DragonCon.
That's right. Galleria 6.
At DragonCon.
At the wonderful Hilton?
Hilton.
Yes, the Hilton. Hilton.
Now, the Sheraton has officially opened back up.
Oh, good.
Yes. So for those of you who were not following this, the Sheraton down here in Atlanta had shut down for a length of time while they cleaned up a mess that apparently led to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Really? So let's just so you guys know what we're dealing with. Legionnaire's disease is it's a type of pneumonia, and it's a bacteria, and you get it by being around tainted water sources. And it's usually exposed from human feces. So, the problem is once you get it, it's hard to get rid of, or you cannot get rid of it. And so the Sheraton down here had a breakout. Several people had been diagnosed. I'm umming and ahhing a lot because I don't want to say the wrong words. Yeah. So they'd been diagnosed, and so they shut it down to clean it up. And why this is important to us for DragonCon is because the Sheraton is where some of the parties happen. A lot of people stay there for the con weekend because it's within that little triangle of blocks that is all taken up. There's like 4 hotels that are taken up with DragonCon. And for those of us who are doing anything else, we have to go, no matter what you're doing at DragonCon, you have to go to the Sheraton to pick up your passes, to pick up your badges. And so badges, we don't need no stinking badges. However, I do suggest that to avoid the con crud, you take sanitary wipes with you, you take sanitizing lotion with you. If you're using one of the public bathrooms, maybe take a can of Lysol with you and spray it down before you actually use it, because there's a lot of people there sharing a lot of bodily fluids. There's some nasty stuff that goes on at these cons. Some really fun stuff, but some nasty stuff. This is like nerd palooza. What did they call it? No, Nerdy
Gras.
Nerdy Gras, that was it. Thank you. Although I don't think anybody's throwing beads and asking some of these nerds to take off their shirts.
You also have college football kickoff weekend.
Yes, and I believe it's a Pride weekend. They're doing a Pride parade.
There is a Pride parade.
Is that that weekend? No, I'm sorry. That's October. I'm thinking about October.
Oh, is it October?
That's October. No, yeah, there's a Pride parade after the She Podcast thing that I'm hosting a panel on. We'll talk about that in September. We're not going to talk. Right now we got 2 weeks ahead of us. And we have to get ready for our live 1 hour broadcast with Bobby Blackwolf.
Bobby Blackwolf.
Bobby Black, the blacking of the wolves.
God dang it, Bobby. Answer your damn questions. So anyway, yes, Bobby Blackwolf is going to be our guest here at DragonCon.
Yes.
And we also have Rachel is on a panel later on that night.
Yes.
And don't know. Maybe we'll be in the audience razzing Rachel as she's on the panel and making silly faces at her to, make her giggle snort.
Yes.
But it's a pretty serious panel.
It's a pretty serious panel. It is a pretty serious panel. And I did try and I asked if you could come up with me on it, and they said be there. Just be in the room. It's a full panel, so it's possible that if for whatever reason one of the chairs is empty, I can snatch you out of the audience and have you come sit with me.
There you go.
And talk with us.
I will sit at the table with the rest of the big kids.
The big kids. But that doesn't mean you can't contribute to the panel, because that's, you ask those really good questions. It's almost like we're setting them up and they don't even realize it, because you ask the really good questions that I have to answer. And that's my dog barking. She's going to answer too. But
yeah,
it's almost a setup, because you and your lovely bride will be able to heckle at me and be like, "That's crap, Rachel. You know it. Answer the question."
Answer the question.
Damn it. Heavens to Murgatroyd, where is the kaboom?
To Murgatroyd. But anyway, so Bobby's going to be our guest.
Yep, Bobby's going to be our guest. We're going to talk about nerd podcasts and
we're going to talk about
things.
nerd podcasts and geek extravaganza stuff. And there's also plenty of guests that are at DragonCon. We're going to go find them because, by God, I'm going to go find Freddy Krueger. I am going to go find Robert Englund. I'm going to go find Willie from V, and we're going to talk. I'm going to find David Tennant.
I liked him as Willie from V. Yay, David Tennant. I wonder, we'll have to get the map and figure out where they are in relation to us.
We will find them.
Although you're going to be staying at the hotel, n'est-ce pas?
Yeah.
So,
yes, staying at the hotel.
So you're going to actually be able to roam around and see what these people are doing.
Yes, we will.
You're going to be able to stalk people.
We will.
Stalker Chris Meyer.
Stalker, yes. I'm not a stalker, but I do. I'm sorry. I do have a headline.
Oh.
That has happened today.
Oh.
And this is happening as we're doing our podcast. Easy Rider star Peter Fonda has died at 79.
Holy crap.
He has passed away from lung cancer. Those of you that are film buffs, Peter has been in a great number of movies.
Many.
Wonderful actor, gentle man as well, very kind man to people that would ask for autographs and whatnot. He's passed away, so we wish him farewell, so to say. Anyway, moving on from that little brief
mood killer.
Yeah, I don't know really what to segue from announcing a celebrity death. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not really. Anyway, so yeah, we'll edit that out in the podcast because we can. Anyway, moving on. What else do you have, Rachel? God, I totally Michael Scotted that whole episode, didn't I?
Michael Scotted.
Michael Scotted. You know, Michael Scott from The Office. Michael Scott from The Office. Whenever Michael was flustered, he couldn't ever come up with something right, and he just stood there and kind of did the whole time.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Made it sound like 10 times worse.
That's okay.
Than what it was. So.
It's hard to kind of follow that. I mean, we've got some really we're just blowing it today, aren't we? We've got some really important icons who are leaving us lately. You know, and I say that because there is a generation of actors and actresses, comedians, writers, performers, crew that have all had a very positive influence in this world, and they're leaving us with these dipshits who don't know when to keep their mouths shut.
Very true.
So it's not that I want to be cold and callous about. I mean, he has family who loves him and has lost him, and we have lost a very prominent figure in our lives. It's also sad that he has made way for another voice of nonsense, because that's what Hollywood is right now. It's a lot of people getting together and misusing their platform and making a whole lot of nonsense.
A whole lot of noise for nothing.
Right. And it's inappropriate, and it's not their wheelhouse, it's not their strong suit, it's not what they should be focusing on. But at the same time, I get it. Some of these people have something they want to say, and they're using their platform to do so. However, using your voice, this is a bigger issue than just Hollywood. This is an issue that I've been watching all over the news for the last week. Using your voice, ironically, this is also kind of going into our podcast panel. I digress. Using your voice is important. Using your platform to project your voice is also very important. How you do that is vital. Now, we could get up here and we could talk about how we're against milk, or we're Pepsi versus Coke, or we're Doritos versus Fritos. And I understand that those are some bad ideas, but still, we could totally use our platform to try and change your mind forcefully. If you think we're awesome, if you think we're funny, then you'll agree with us on this topic. But we don't. We get on soapbox rants, we share how we feel about something, we share our view on something, but we don't push it on you in such a way that makes you not want to hear us.
Exactly.
And healthy conversations happen when you share views and ideas respectfully. I don't have to agree with something that Chris agrees with, but we're still friends, and we try and come to terms with it. We try and find a common ground with it. I don't have to agree with a Hollywood actress who stands up and says that we'd all be stupid idiots without their influence. I also don't have to buy her tickets anymore. That's a choice she's made, but she has voiced her opinion. It's her opinion. It's her truth. That doesn't mean it's an actual fact. So where I'm going with this is, you can have different opinions. You can have different viewpoints. You can have a desire to stand up for what's right, what's morally correct. And if that item doesn't fit with my level of moral correctness, I don't have to listen. I can hear you and respect you, but I don't have to listen. This past week, the trans community has taken a huge hit. Now, I am not here to be for or against the trans community, the LGBT community. I am here because I want to use this as an opportunity to show you the damage that can be done when somebody comes out with damaging information, damaging evidence, and it affects an entire community of people. I'm not going to mention names, because if you guys are following YouTube, you'll already know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a man in Canada who is saying that he is a transgendered woman, meaning a biological male that is transitioning to be a woman. And it has come out that this particular person has been causing problems in the trans community for those who are already transitioned or in the process of transitioning. And when I say that he's causing problems, it's because what this person is doing is shining a very negative spotlight on the transgender community that will continue to fuel narrow-minded people into harming or disregarding what a person goes through as a transgender person. And I know that was a lot, that was a mouthful that I just said. But what this person is doing is they're basically, because of the way Canadian laws are regarding transgenders and changing their sex and the services that they should be rendered and how they should be treated, it's causing some problems and it's making news. Almost to the point where people are in danger. There are children involved. This person is a pedophile and a predator. People have lost their jobs because of this person. And this person claims to be a trans community activist. So I think with all that information, can you understand how I'm saying getting on a soapbox the wrong way can be very damaging? So I love... Okay, I always joke saying I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally. I don't people well. I'm an introvert. I don't people well. That doesn't mean I actually hate people. I don't actually hate people. I love people, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this crap. Okay? And I don't personally struggle with body dysphoria the way a trans person does. I struggle with body image because of the way our society has painted how women should be, but that's a topic for a completely different story. But there are people out there who genuinely struggle with their own sex and their own gender and their own lifestyle. This person is mocking that. And it makes me angry because I'm seeing other people hurting because of one person's selfish agenda. And that's kind of like with the politics that I can't really touch on. I struggle with them because there are people in political positions who are using their position for their own personal gain. It's not to help the other humans around them. It's because they're selfish and they want that power and they want that money and they want that strength. And it's all false and it's all going to burn away at some point. And it's not what's actually important. And so there. I don't know how to wrap that up. Just be careful what you say. I'm not saying wear filters. I'm not saying walk on eggshells. I'm saying think before you speak. And respect one another. Sorry. Shutting up now.
No,
that's my soapbox.
That's probably one of the best soapbox rants I've heard you do.
I guess because I researched it and I'm passionate about it. I don't know. All day yesterday I'm watching these YouTube videos on this thing and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This person's just malicious and is going to hurt people. Children. He's hurting children.
What can you do? We'll circle back to some Hollywood news. Quentin Tarantino's new film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Have you seen this?
No, I have not seen it yet. I love Tarantino movies. I think they're good, but I saw the last one he did, The Hateful Eight. It was really slow. It was just kind of one of those movies you go, take it or leave it. He's getting a lot of flack for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I hate to tell the man, I've seen the clip of his portrayal of Bruce Lee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he didn't really make Bruce Lee look like the guy he was, that everybody who was around him, who knew him, said of him. One thing Bruce Lee really kind of fought against was the Chinese stereotype.
Right.
In Hollywood at the time, all the Chinese were, bad guys. Oh, the Asians, bad guys. Or the Asians were the clowns.
Or they were the sidekicks.
The sidekicks, right. Hop Sing and, oh, laundry, tiki laundry, all that kind of thing. Like,
oh,
for instance,
you want a massage? Okay.
One of his big revelations is when he went to the theater and he saw Breakfast at Tiffany's. Mickey Rooney played a Japanese photographer.
Oh, that was
Miss
horrible.
Golightly. And it was an absolute, at the time it was funny, but now by today's standards, it is an absolutely terrible representation of an Asian person.
Yes.
Not only is it a Caucasian actor playing an Asian person.
And with bad makeup.
With bad makeup, bad teeth.
Oh, Miss Golightly.
Right, the typical, stereotypical thing. Lee saw this and he said, my people will not be portrayed as clowns and fools in the cinema. I will make sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in his
really
role as... Yeah, he worked in his films, they're all action and choppy chop, but if you ever notice, every one of Lee's films, he's overcoming some sort of odd. He's fighting some sort of odds, right. And that's what he did. He never was a bully. And in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a fight scene between Brad Pitt's character, who's an aging stuntman, and Lee, who is portrayed by this this fella who's, I guess he's going to play Bruce Lee in another film, but that may not happen now. Was boasting and acting like a big bully on set and said, I could beat up Muhammad Ali, I can beat you up, I can do this, I am quick and I'm fast. And they had Lee actually losing, the Lee character losing to Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt beat him soundly. And there's a lot of people, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who practiced and trained with Bruce Lee and was even in a Bruce Lee movie, who has now come out and gone, this is a absolute horrible representation of a good and honest man. How dare you portray him as some sort of caricature, like some bully and villain in Hollywood. It was sloppy and poorly done. His daughter, Bruce Lee's daughter has come out and was like, okay, first off, my father never would do this. You made my father look like some, pimp clown. Because he was on the set of Green Hornet. Mm-hmm. And this whole role was, Kato. And he never, in the interviews that he had, he said, no, I never hated doing the Kato role. It actually brought me fame. And in like Taiwan and China and Hong Kong, where he really gained his fame, it wasn't the Green Hornet. They called it the Kato Show. They watched it to see Kato, kicking ass.
Right.
So, I understand Tarantino and some of his stuff, but on this one, I got to give him a thumbs down. I may not really want to go see the movie because of this.
So I have a question about that. And this kind of
go ahead.
This kind of goes into some of the mindset that I was tapping on earlier. This is a fiction, correct?
It's a fiction, and it's a screen portrayal of fiction. But
okay.
When you have somebody who was
as cherished and protected as
cherished
Bruce Lee.
And iconic as Bruce Lee,
right? And I think
a lot of people.
I think everyone in Hollywood and the film industry does their best to protect the legacy that is Bruce Lee. Because,
I think they do. Yeah.
And I think that is because he was such a genuine gentleman. He was such a genuine human being who actually brought good to the film industry. So, kind of like, I'm trying to think of somebody in this generation that people would understand. Well, like Harvey Korman, or oh God, Don Rickles.
Right?
You knew who he was and what he was and his genuine character, so you kind of protect that, But at the same time, isn't it also Tarantino's MO to go against the grain and do what other people wouldn't?
Well, exactly, but he's also made, he made the statement, he was like, oh yeah, Bruce Lee was kind of an arrogant guy. Tarantino had this quote to reporters, he goes, I didn't make that up, I heard him say things like that. And one of the reporters went, Mr. Tarantino, I don't think you were alive during...
That's what I was going to say. Isn't he too young for that?
He's way too young, and Bruce Lee died probably when he was a gleam in somebody's eye,
That makes me want to come up with some really bad sex joke at that moment. Sorry.
Yeah. No Epstein jokes. No Epstein jokes.
Oh, Epstein's not dead.
Shh, they're gonna come and get me. Shh.
You know what's really funny? Can we segue to that?
We can say, because the more it comes out about old Jeffrey,
Okay.
The bizarreness.
Oh, tell me about it. So
it's getting more and more bizarre with this.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I found out, and then you tell me what you found out, because I know that you pay more attention to some of the new stuff than I do. So I was watching one of our favorite veteran podcasters who started with his own channel on YouTube and is now on a very awesome, prominent channel and says what he thinks and very clearly. And he kept prefacing everything with, I don't have anything on the Clintons. I don't have anything on the Clintons. Just so you know, I don't have anything on the Clintons whatsoever. But it's kind of interesting how Epstein murders himself. And then and then he was talking about how Epstein may not even be dead, that this may be a complete hoax. Why would they have a hanging? And then when they're in a prison, you take a body out of a prison from a suicide, they put them in a body bag. Why are they wheeling him out for all the press to see? First of all, I haven't seen the pictures, so I'm wondering, is there a burn on his neck from the rope or the sheet that he used? Were they hiding that? How did they do that? How did they show it to people? Then there's on top of that, apparently, this, air quotes, suicide occurred hours or moments before or after, some really damaging papers were unsealed, some files were unsealed that included Bill Clinton being on this island that Epstein apparently owned, that he had underage sex trafficking things going on for shiny people to be pedophilias. That's what I know at this point. But I don't know anything if the Clintons are actually involved, so don't
Nobody
come
knows
kill
anything
me.
of the Clintons.
At least don't kill me until after October. I got shit to do.
It's now come out. Clinton denied. I was never on Jeffrey's plane. I never flew with him. I maybe flew with him twice. But there's report logs, like flight logs, that have been found where he was with him 25 times.
Right, not just on the plane with him, but on his island.
Not on his
island.
Not just the island where all this, but other areas where Epstein had been found trafficking.
God.
Okay, Clinton was with him on these sojourns.
I did not have sexual relations with that little girl.
Now,
I'm going to die tomorrow.
what I find amazing, and my former Secret Service relative even says, who guarded Bill for half his term and then said, "Get me out of here," okay? Said it's really highly impossible for someone to commit suicide while on suicide watch when all they give you on suicide watch for a prisoner or anybody that attempts to is toilet paper.
Right. They take your shoelaces, they take your belt, they even take the sheets, they check. It's a concrete cell. That was the other thing. He was on suicide watch, and then suddenly he wasn't.
Then suddenly he killed himself while on suicide watch.
But suddenly wasn't on suicide watch. So he was in the suicide watch cell, and then suddenly wasn't on suicide watch, and then like, oh, well, let's check on him, and then he's dead. So here's the funny thing about that, too, is a warden is the only one who can declare that a suicide watch be shut down.
Needless to say, the feds have now gotten themselves involved. There is going to be a federal investigation because it's now gotten to the point where the feds have to go, okay, yeah, we got to get involved in this. So could this be the part where, and look, I know people are like, oh no, Bill Clinton was this. Anytime something has ever happened with the Clintons, I'm sorry. It's to this point where you have to look and go, oh yeah, I'm not shocked by it.
That's so sad.
Okay, Vince Foster now, when whitewash or whitewater, or not whitewater, whitewash, no, not Watergate, sorry, Whitewater. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering my history. Correct.
Watergate, whitewash, whitewater.
Whitewater, thank you. When all
something
that
white.
When all that came out, bam. He committed. My God, he fell on a bullet and committed suicide.
There was a couple of them. There's been several of them. Reporters who've just quit showing up for work one day. They
quit showing up for work. And
their car accidentally exploded and burned so hot that there's no way to identify anything but the dental records. What? This is like Black Cloak and Dagger.
At some point, at some point, when do you sit and go, huh, okay, maybe we should investigate you? I mean, look at the whole email scandal that she had. My other point to this is you got to look at a politician. Politicians don't go in making a profit. They made a profit.
Lots of profit.
Being president, lots of profit.
They've made more money out of the White House now
with the foundation, which a lot of the money comes from countries that are not too friendly to the U.S. Just saying. I mean, it's not. I'm not making this up, or I'm not siding with one side. I'm not being, I'm a Trumper. No. These are facts. These are facts when the reports come out. I'm sorry.
Just out of curiosity.
When Syria gives you a couple million, you got to really kind of look and go, why are you taking money from Syria?
Did you see the article about Bill Clinton in the oil painting?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Oh my God!
Maybe that's what got him killed, you know? I mean, and it's not just Bill in a blue dress, it's Bill in the Monica Lewinsky blue dress.
No, that's a different dress. Isn't it? That's a different dress. Yeah, it's a different dress.
I thought it was, it's a different dress? Okay. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, what would have been really funny is if he was in one of Hillary's pantsuits. That would have been fucking hilarious.
It gets more bizarre as we find out more about Jeffrey Epstein. What a piece of human garbage he was.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay. We're good without him on the planet.
Yeah.
So I'm not
the world's okay without him being around.
Yeah, but what's interesting is the autopsy, from what I heard also yesterday, was the medical examiner can't even say that it was death by suicide. They found several broken bones in his neck. So that's work. that takes work. When you hang yourself, and as a 911 dispatcher, I had to deal with this. There are certain things that happen to a body when they hang themselves. And the broken bones in your neck don't occur. There's dislocation, there's the crushing of your windpipe and larynx, there's the separation of your skull from your spine, there's all sorts of stuff. But anyway. But the Bill Clinton address, that's just as disturbing. Apparently it was hanging in his Manhattan townhouse.
Yeah, in his Manhattan townhouse. He got it off some art student, like in New York, that the art student remembers, him buying it. She was like, I don't know why he's buying the painting. It was just like my college age, hey, this is what I'm doing, just being a rebel.
Go her. The shoes are pretty.
Sell it. I mean,
it almost looks like the damn thing was posed for. I'm just...
I know. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it really looks like he posed for the painting.
So the bottom line of this whole thing, while this scumbag is dead and we are now released from having him in our planet, there's some really janky shit going on. And it's funny as hell. If you sit back and look at it, I think that this may actually be the undoing of the DNC. Because they're going to unravel the Clintons, and it's going to go so deep into the political stratosphere that everybody's going to go, holy shitballs.
As much as I want to try to be bipartisan on this whole deal, I hate to tell the Democrat people or anybody that's they're just begging to try. Nobody's going to beat Trump. Okay.
I don't think so. Not now.
I know. I'm going to sound like one of the pundits that goes, oh, Hillary's going to win. Nobody's going to beat her. But honest to God, they don't have a candidate who can really beat him right now. I mean, let's go back to Joe's statement of, dun, 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 dun. I think them poor kids can have any advantage and be just as smart as white kids. What? And the DNC is sitting there going, oh, God, Uncle Joe. No.
Creepy Uncle Joe.
No, Uncle Joe. Why?
Jeez. And somebody back there's going, no, shit. No.
We already we got past the whole uncomfortable, touchy closeness thing.
No.
Joe.
No, there's been several things. There's like three there's Biden, Sanders, and Buttigieg, I think, who have all said in the last week or so something really, really stupid that has come back to bite them in the ass. And I think Buttigieg was going on, the shootings. He was inciting more people to think that Trump was racist and that Trump was inciting this violence. And I'm like,
of course.
What? And he got really irate about a comment from one of the press people that were asking him questions. And he just went unhinged. And he was like, "Arr!" And he just started kind of yelling. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Click. Like, just done. I mean, look, I'm in a very awkward position. I've got a lot to say. I'm educated and eloquent enough to be able to say it respectfully, but I have to pay attention to certain rules I have to follow in my life. So I'm very careful with some of the stuff I'm saying, but I'm going to say this. This Epstein thing, people need to pay very close attention to the next few weeks with Epstein.
We ain't over with it.
This is not done, and if it shuts up very quickly, then that in and of itself is a loud statement. There is something wrong here. And if you cannot look at the facts, period, if you cannot look at the facts, or even what is being put out there as facts, and tell me that something's not right, you need to have your head examined. I understand that there is this Trump derangement syndrome. I understand that the left thinks the right's racist. I understand that the libertarians want to just wash them all gone. I understand. Do your homework and pay attention.
Both sides. We have two extremes of both sides.
Oh God, it's bad.
You know, you have like that moron Alex Jones who believes the lizard people have taken over the world.
Son of a bitch. Really, just shut up, Alex.
You just want to look and go, Alex, please go away.
V was a miniseries that was aired twice.
Helping, Alex.
And while the second miniseries of V seemed a little bit hopeful, more hopeful than the first back in the 80s, it is a miniseries and a sci-fi extravaganza. It is not Land of the Lost. The Sea Slack are not coming.
Marshall, Will, and Holly are not trying to say
in the land of the lost.
Then, of course, you have the children wearing masks and, you know, eating powdered donuts, pancake surprise, saying, "We're Antifa, we're anti-fascist, so we're going to beat you up." Please, children, go away.
Go eat some Tide Pods.
Sit down. I also blame parents on that one.
Oh yeah,
I blame parents.
And I was looking at that. I don't even know if I should go on this topic. I'm not gonna. I was gonna look at how we grew up and why our parenting, because it's technically the Generation X parents who have raised the millennials. So it's the Generation X parents' fault. Which, if you look at the Generation X and how they grew up with the baby boomers, shutting up.
It's the Gen X that are like, and I'm sorry, it's the late 80s to early 90s Gen Xers.
Yes.
Okay, like the
yuppies and the wasps
into the 90s, where we got into that lost kind of decade. You know, the New Jack City era, as I like to call it. Because let me tell you, the early 80s, the Reagan 80s parents who are our generation, boy, those children aren't, they're not raised poorly.
You know what? You're right, because the late 70s, early 80s born Generation Xers like us, we're pretty hard ass on our kids.
Yeah, and those kids are doing okay.
Yeah, they are. Right? Yeah, they are.
But it's it's that era that I say, where the kids are now, they were born in 1980 or, well, what was it? Born in 1980, 88. What is the Gen X is 74 to 84. Millennials are what?
You're going to make me look this up, aren't you?
Yeah, because now I'm getting confused because we have so many Gen Z. We have Generation X, Generation Y, there's Millennials, and then there's Gen Z.
Okay, so Generation X is 1961 to 1981.
You cut in and out on me.
Generation X is 1961 to 1981.
Okay, so we are Generation X.
We are Generation X. Generation Y, which is the millennials, is 1981 to 1996. That's when they were born.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I think that they're saying the generation we're in now is Generation Z, which is mid-1990s to early 2000s.
Right. I think it's a combination of like the late millennials and the Generation Z that are giving us
right
what we have now.
So, I found a handy graph. Okay. Today's young people different from yesterday's. So, baby boomers, Generation B, were 1940 to 1959. The context is they were post-war. They witnessed a dictatorship and repression in Brazil. Their behavior is idealism, revolutionary, collectivist. Their consumption is ideology, vinyl, and movies. Okay? Generation X, which is our generation, we witnessed political transition, capitalism, and meritocracy dominant. Meritocracy. What is meritocracy? All right. M-E-R. Meritocracy. Oops. Meridius. I can spell. Meritocracy, government or the holding of power by people selected on the basis of their ability. Okay. So it's people actually doing their job because they can, right? Our behavior is materialistic, competitive, individualistic. I can agree with that. The consumption is status, brands and cars, luxury articles. So we're that section of people that worked hard for our money and played hard with it. Generation Y, which is the millennial, 1980 to 1994, in their context was globalization, economic stability, emergence of the internet. Their behavior is globalist, questioning, oriented to self. Their consumption is experience, festivals and travel, flagships. Okay. Generation Z, 1995 to 2010, mobility and multiple realities, excuse me. The context is mobility and multiple realities, social networks, digital natives. Digital natives being that they grew up with technology.
In the tech age.
Yeah. Their behavior is undefined identification, communicaholic, meaning they're addicted to communication, dialoguer, and these are in quotes, which means a dialoguer is they repeat things, and realistic. The consumption is uniqueness, unlimited, and ethical. Okay. So, and that's something I just found in a Google search. Apparently, so the greatest generation of baby boomers are, wow. The greatest generation, 9% of the general composition. Baby boomers are 24%. Generation X is 20%. 22% is millennials. Generation Z is 26%. So, ironically, Generation X is not very populous. Probably because a lot of us have decided we didn't want to reproduce.
Well, that's also the problem.
Yeah.
The gene pool that should have reproduced to have, decent citizens didn't reproduce or couldn't reproduce.
Right.
Okay. Therefore, this is I keep saying this. Mike Judge has predicted the future with Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. Yes, we are in trouble.
If you've not seen this movie, you need to. The beginning of it shows like here's couple A.
Yes.
Very prominent, smart people. Okay, and they just can't get it together. They can't have kids. They can't have this. Here's couple B. And it's like this random idiot who is
reproducing,
reproducing like he spits in a petri dish and starts his own colony.
Yeah. Yep.
And then every child that he has reproduces like freaking rabbits.
And each one gets dumber.
Yeah, and they get dumber and dumber. And then in the future, that's why we're left with President Camacho,
Phew, God. We've talked about trying to help stir the gene pool. We have. It's been a discussion. But I fall into that category of having issues with contributing to the gene pool. Medical issues with contributing to gene. Like I medically have some things that I have to deal with in order to be able to reproduce. So Maybe it was because I chose Coke over Pepsi. I don't know. Maybe it was the Pop Rocks I ate in 85. Maybe it was because I had lead-based paint and I swallowed BBs and I played out in the sun and I played with people and I ran around until the lights came on at night. Maybe because I was a free child for a section of my life. I scraped up my knees. I learned to ride a bike. I worked to get my driver's license and get the hell out of my house. Anyway.
Don't know. I don't know. It's just, you know, I am trying to impart my wisdom upon the boys with noise,
which is going well. By the way, I really loved watching that very first video that you ever posted of the baby bear. The baby bear. I was like, oh my god.
The baby bear. He is. Gage is my baby bear.
That's awesome.
We went through this whole stage of being 8 years old and cute. And, I'm your little buddy. I'm your little pal. And, you're like, yeah, you are my pal. And then we kind of grew into a little bit of rebellious adolescence.
As you should.
As you should. where you go, yeah, I used to have a picture of you on my cell phone where you were cute and, cuddly and little guy and all this other stuff.
Snatch a knot in your tail.
Now I swear to God, you're gonna make me pull out my hair if you try to do one more damn thing. Why have you decided not to bathe? Before we couldn't get you out of the shower. Now it's like it's wrestling you to get in the shower.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that's a podcast.
I think that's a podcast, brother. Okay. I think we're done.
I think we're done. Say goodnight, Chris.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us here at the Department of Understanding Humans, also known as DA. Just remember, this is our circus. These are our monkeys. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media outlets. You can find all of our podcasting streams and feeds at our website at www.dawebsite.com. That's D.U.H website.com. Thanks again for joining us and have a great day.